in person and online today, as well as the entire executive leadership team is joining us here in person. Joey, Donna, welcome to everyone. I want to make sure to recognize some of our guests here today. We've got John Wetzel here representing the public. We've also got Gloria Harvitz from the Southern, who's the Southern Branch Regional Manager, excuse me. And I'd also like to welcome Ann Hussey, who's the branch manager here in Edgewater, and she was here to bring us some additional welcome remarks.
Hi everybody, once again, my name is Ann Hussey. I am the branch manager here at the Edgewater Library. It's been my pleasure to be the branch manager here for the last 10 years. So 10 years with the library and with AACPL. It's a lovely community, a lovely place to work. So a little bit about our branch. We opened in 1991, and we are part of a shared campus with the South County Senior Center. So as you can imagine, we partner a lot with the Senior Center. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, we did a Halloween storytime parade over to the Senior Center. We had over 100 attendees. It was so much fun and so cute, as you can imagine, it was a blast. We also partner with the Department of Social Services, so we are one of the branches that is lucky to have an on-site social worker once a week here. We are also part of the South County Community of Hope, so we work closely with them. And we serve as the northern connection point between the South County Call-in Ride and the Gold Route for Anne Arundel Transit. So we really are sort of kind of the gateway to South County in a lot of ways. We have a robust schedule of programming here at the branch for all ages. Some of our kind of most popular programs, we have a quarterly STEM night in this room. Amazing stuff is always happening in here. We also do regular storytime hikes at some of our local parks. We'll have 80 people that will meet Miss Ashley out to go on a hike in the woods with toddlers and their caregivers, and it's a lovely thing. We are a small but a very busy branch. Most evenings you'll see just about every single table and chair in the library taken up with families, with tutors, with students studying, and with people just kind of hanging out enjoying the space. Last year we circulated almost 213,000 items out of this branch. We welcomed 67,000 visitors and we hosted programs for 13,000 people. So we're small but mighty. If you take a walk around the library after this meeting, and I hope you will, you'll notice that we have a Club 1117 art gallery. So right now we are hosting art from students at South River High School. It changes out periodically. We just finished a display of the Summit School students in honor of Learning Disability Awareness Month in October. So always something different there. Another thing you'll notice, if you head further into our children's area, in our Discovery Dock, a work in progress. We are soon to launch a family workstation, which is going to provide a space for caregivers to work next to a playpen where their babies or toddlers can safely play where the caregiver works. So this is going to be the first family workstation of its kind in Anne Arundel County, and we are really excited to get that started soon. And yeah, can't wait to share it with everybody. So I hope you'll be able to come back when that is ready to launch. So again, Ann Hussey, welcome to the Edgewater Library. Thanks so much for joining us today.
And I will add, it is the best library.
I love that. Does anybody have any questions for Ann before she finishes here? Thank you so much. You've got so much going on here. It's exciting.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to circle back to make sure that we can adopt the agenda here. So are there any corrections or additions to the agenda as presented? All right, hearing none. The agenda is adopted. So we can go on to the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none. Because there are no objections, the minutes are approved as presented. At this point, we can open up the agenda to public comment. If we have anyone who wants to make a comment from the public, you'd have up to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who's interested? All right. Okay. All right, so we, moving on here, can go on to the consent agenda. There are 3 items that are for consideration. If everyone's hopefully has read all the policies here, the Maryland Values Act policy, the contaminated materials policy, and the personnel manual changes. So with that, does anyone want to remove any of the items from the consent agenda in order to discuss them? All right, great. So needs a little levity. All right, so I move that all items on the consent agenda be approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda is approved unanimously. All right, so move through that pretty quickly, so on to the chair's report. So I first want to give a round of thank yous. We had a very busy couple of months here. So first I want to thank those trustees who either attended in person the For the Love of the Library event in September, or made a gift to the Library Foundation in support of For the Love of the Library. I won't steal Noah's thunder in terms of talking about how successful it was, but definitely we appreciate always the leadership of the trustees for attending and supporting that very important event. I also want to thank those trustees who were able to attend the Citizens for Maryland Libraries annual conference last month. Certainly was a great opportunity to hear from the Maryland State Librarian, Morgan Miller, as well as other really dynamic speakers, talking about ways to address advocacy and support for the mission of public libraries in our state. We actually recently received the PowerPoint presentations from the conference, so we'll go ahead and send that out to those who are interested in seeing those presentations after this meeting. Also wanted to thank those trustees who were able to attend any of the Cheers to ACPL events, as well as the general staff meeting last month, as well as the Read Between the Lines event, a very successful event earlier this month. So it definitely, again, been a very, very busy and exciting time, so we always appreciate any and all support that we get from the trustees in terms of attendance and participation through making gifts. And certainly any gift or ticket purchase in support of the Library Foundation fundraisers counts towards your support of the library overall through your giving efforts. I wanted to certainly draw your attention to our upcoming events that are in the agenda. Multiple different opportunities to again engage with the library, including tomorrow evening with David Baldacci at the Chesapeake Arts Center. So if you haven't already bought your tickets, again, I don't want to steal Noah's thunder on this, but certainly please do consider supporting by coming out to this really great event. Another way to support the library and just be able to celebrate the work of the library and the community with other community members. We also have a number of different opportunities for fundraising with Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday, an event in person. So certainly, many opportunities to continue to support the library through the end of the year. One thing I did want to mention, Lonnie and I had talked about being able to get together as trustees for a holiday get together at some point. So we wanted to send an email around after this meeting to float some dates and opportunities for us to kind of get together. And so we'll kind of figure out people's availability and interest just immediately after this meeting. And so lastly, I did want to now turn over the meeting briefly to Dylan Baylor, who will provide some updates on the Adopt a Library program. Dylan?
Yeah, thank you so much. Special shout out to Donna. On October 27th, you all should have got an email with just like kind of a regroup of the Adopt a Library program. So you should have got your new assignment, also your foundation counterpart, and just some recommended actions on, as we look forward over the next year, some ways to get involved. So just some thoughts on reaching out to the branch manager, signing up for the branch's email newsletter, reaching out to your foundation board counterparts so you can do stuff jointly, which is a really exciting opportunity. And then the biggest thing is just preparing and getting ready for Library Appreciation Worker Day. So I don't have the specific date, but I know it's in early April, bringing treats, bringing flowers, all those types of things. And we'll keep reminding you as we get closer to that. So that's kind of the quick update. Also, I'm available, Donna's available. If you have questions or thoughts on, you want to bounce ideas off of how to, best engage with the local branch. So thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So I do want to just say, I'm going to make sure that this is, the updates for the Adopt a Library program will be part of the agenda moving forward. So definitely giving opportunities for trustees to share any insights and opportunities to engage with your library grant. Great, just a great addition to the agenda moving forward. All right, so I will,
Just one other on that point, right? Like, also, like, if you do stuff, if you can let us know, that way we can talk about it, and share it with the other trustees is really cool. I think sparking inspiration with other folks. So if you do something, whatever it may be, if you can like email me and whomever, that would be really awesome.
Quick question. On that note, if we're doing something that's just within our own library that's like nearby, should we still like email you about it so we can share it?
I think so. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
thanks for asking. All right, I will go ahead and turn it over to Tim for treasurer's update.
Thank you. As Cedric and his team are in the final stages of preparing the operating and supplemental budget request for the fiscal year 2027, we anticipate that we will be able to see that and vote on it at the committee level in December. To give you a sneak preview, the executive leadership team has identified about 20 supplemental requests totaling $2.4 million. About $1 million of that is the pay raises, overtime pay, and Sunday pay adjustments that we negotiated with the union. So we'll be watching that closely, hopefully see if that gets approved by the county. There are additional requests for some critical positions in collections, and then also some funding for kindergarten readiness, maintenance, and human resources. In our last financial report in October, we looks like we're on track for our target of receiving and expending about 33% of our budgeted revenues and expenditures. We actually have received 33%, have spent only 31%, but that's a very minor difference, and we have not seen any significant variances. So, and that's it. And then I'll have a little more to elaborate on when we talk about the committee report. So.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so moving on to the liaison to the foundation board. Noah?
Hi there, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So, I mean, obviously you guys have the report in board effect, so I'm going to hit the wave tops here. I'm not going to read the entire thing. But the board met just a couple days ago at Edgewater Library and reviewed and approved the fiscal year 25 audit and IRS 990. Also, the governance committee of the foundation proposed a change to add a student board member and create an emeritus position. So that's still undergoing discussion, and we'll decide in January, next meeting. I guess, next meeting. And the community engagement committee is dedicated to strengthening its advocacy. So we did some kind of interesting thought exercises there with answering tough questions that people might ask about library fundraising. As far as how things are going for fiscal year 26, in the last 5 or so months, we've already raised $401,000, so 63% of the way to the annual goal of $640,000, give or take. For the love of the library, as Davida was mentioning, was a rousing success. Over 400 guests and $162,000 raised at that event. Next year's event, mark your calendars for September 18th. And then obviously, many of you know this, the Cheers to AACPL over, I think it was 3 events, several events, welcomed over 600 attendees and raised almost $6,000 there. Read Between the Wines had over 140 guests, including nearly 50 veterans. So no surprise that the foundation continues to do a tremendous amount of great work. And then as far as what is upcoming, again, I know Davida kind of hinted at this, there's the David Baldacci event That is, well, that's tomorrow. Boy, it's creeping up. It's 6:30 p.m. and that's at the Hammond Theater up in Brooklyn Park, and it's almost sold out. So, as I think was said, if you haven't gotten your tickets, get on that because they're disappearing. And then the only other one I'll mention, since I know a couple of them were already hinted at, is the Giving in Style event at, I think I'm pronouncing this right, is it Raven? That boutique. Yeah, and that's on Giving Tuesday. So definitely refer to that foundation summary that's in Board Effect to get all the details for all the various fundraising events and drives that are coming up. And that's it for me.
Awesome, thank you, Noah. Any questions or anything about the report? Great. All right, so I will turn it over to Skip for the CEO's report.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to report on most everything, and I think some of our executive leadership team may also want to weigh in. I'll just mention a few things. First of all, on let's see, Poverty Amidst Plenty has been presented a few times. The 8th edition of that was completed this year, and Dr. Pam Brown has been going around the community to present it. We had, let's see, I think that Laura was at the presentation at the community college, as well as 2 or 3 or 4 of the foundation directors were there. And that was a great presentation, and this is a really important part of what we do, because we try to focus in communities where we can make the greatest difference. I think that's part of why our kindergarten readiness program has been so important, not only for us as a library system, but for the county. And we also are looking at places like some of the most difficult areas where there are serious pockets of poverty include Deal, Annapolis, Glen Burnie, Brooklyn Park. Those are the primary places. And so I know that several of the foundation directors were kind of keenly interested in trying to maximize our impact in those locations. Second, I want to mention that we, for about 3 years now, have been partnering with the New Village Academy. This has been a concept up until now, and it has been an idea that Romy Pittman has been putting forward. It was supposed to open in August of this year, but because of negotiations with the Annapolis Mall, it didn't quite work out. It's a great partnership that our Discoveries Library has with them. They had the groundbreaking, I guess that a couple of days ago. 4 staff from Discoveries were there, and I was there, and it was a group of about 150 people, because it's on the second level of Annapolis Mall where Lord and Taylor was. That's a concrete floor. So they brought in a big tray of dirt with all of these shovels to do sort of a funny, like, groundbreaking thing. I couldn't stay for that last part of it, but there's a lot of excitement about this. Dr. Bedell spoke about it. Dr. Tobin, who's the chair of the Board of Education, was there. A number of speakers. Senator Henson was there. Councilwoman Rodvian was there. So different people spoke, and then it kind of culminated with Romy standing up and speaking. She is Stuart Pittman's sister, but there's really, that didn't give her an in on getting this done. What made it happen is the tremendous value that this is going to bring. It is a school that'll be 9th to 12th grades. They will bring students in who are at risk of dropping out of high school and getting on a not so positive path. So they'll bring cohorts of students in. They'll be in the same cohort going right from the 9th grade all the way through high school. It's kind of a real life learning opportunity. They'll connect with all types of internship opportunities within the city. They will go out and do a lot of sort of in-person meetings with a lot of people. So it'll kind of introduce them to the real world in a way that regular school just doesn't do. So the plan is to open in August of 2026. And again, Rachel Myers and her staff are just right on top of it in terms of working with them. Let's see, I attended the LATI graduation up at the Miller branch of Howard County Library. LATI is the Library Associate Training Institute. Yeah. We had five five of our staff who graduated. I was there for the presentation, for their presentations. Each one of them, probably about 30 or 35 of them that day from around the state, who made 2-minute presentations, and they're great. People are doing incredible things, including our staff. And I was able to be there for the first time for those presentations. I know Kathy's gone a number of times. I couldn't stay on for lunch and the actual presentation of their graduation certificates, but that's a really good thing that Maryland has that other states just don't have. It's a great program. Every library associate in the state has to go through the program, and then every one of the library associates as well as librarians have to maintain certification. So every 5 years you have to, just like the teachers do, you have to get a recertification. By the way, I just got my recertification as a librarian in Maryland. So I now have, I re-upped for another 5 years. I'm at the 15-year mark now, so. All right. I did look up, it's a little confusing as to when National Library Workers' Day is. It'll be in April, but on the American Library Association website, it says it's going to be on Tuesday, April 8th. It's always done the Tuesday of National Library Week. However, that same website says that National Library Week is the 19th to the 25th. So we'll get that correct information to you at the right time.
Celebrate it twice.
I like it. We should do it twice.
Yeah.
But you can start the week out with Library Giving Week, the month out with Library Giving Week.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, we'll have a lot more heads up about that. Let's see. And Rudy may want to weigh in on this. We had the Glen Burnie community meeting where the presentation of the schematic design was done by Jeremy Klein of WGM, plus Terry Schumann, who is the civil engineer, plus Emma Pfefferkorn, who is the key project manager at the Department of Public Works. It's a great design. It moves into a new phase now. And Rudy, is there anything else to add that you'd like to speak to?
So the presentations are posted on the website, on our website too, so you can take a look at the renderings that were provided. The project is going to enter as kind of a fallow phase for the next 5 or 6 months while we get some contracting squared away and get the architect of record and the general contractor under contract. Once that's signed, they'll commence the design development and construction document phases. And we're looking at about maybe a year and a half out before we actually start construction.
Okay.
So that's a ballpark. Depends on how quickly the contracting goes.
So my key date that I've been keeping in mind has been 2028 sometime that we'd be likely to open it. Now it looks like it could go into 2029, so we'll get it open. Anyway, thank you.
Can I make a quick comment about that?
Please.
Many of you know that I grew up in Glen Burnie. My mother worked in the library. My wife worked in the library for a time. I've got a lot of close ties to the Glen Burnie Improvement Association, which we've been very wise to involve early on. I'm hearing really all positive things about the interaction between the folks in the GBIA and folks involved in senior administration in the library system. It's all positive. The community leaders in Glen Burnie are very excited about it. And most of you know that our last director, Will Shorter, is running for office in Glen Burnie. Will's also from Glen Burnie. And he's very optimistic as well. I think this is going to be a huge win for the North County area for the Library Association.
That's great, Rob. I totally agree. And Will Shorter, for those of you who don't know, he was the chair of the library board for a couple of years. He resigned to go to library school, not library school.
Law school.
Law school, that other lesser entity. Sorry.
No,
Fair.
how about less loved
Yes.
Well, we're loved for sure. No, Will
University
started at UB and he went, he finished up at George Washington. He told us that he had passed the bar exam and I think he was sworn in yesterday. He's going to be working in the state's attorney's office for City of Baltimore, so he'll get to be a prosecutor. And he was telling, I think Christina and I about us, I think it was us, about a specific case. Anyway, I won't go into that. But anyway, Will is running for county council in District 2, so he would replace Allison Pickard, who is running for county executive. If the two of them happen to win their elections, then Glen Burnie is going to be very mighty over the next 4 years because of their total focus on that part of the community, which is appropriate. That the north part of the county has been in some ways neglected. I mean, when I look back at when the original Annapolis and Glen Burnie libraries were opened, it was 1965 and 69, so that pattern is still happening with our Annapolis and Glen Burnie, and it's great that we're getting them both open. We also, of course, have a lot going on up in that part of the county in that we opened Riviera Beach Library. We're moving ahead with a new Mountain Road Library that's not quite finalized. You like that, Rob? So we're and again the Y of Central Maryland Library that's tricky right now because they're still trying to figure out where they're going to put it, and it just feels iffy right now. But that's a library in the Millersville area, so a lot will be happening up there, let's say over the next decade for sure. Two other things. One, in addition to David Baldacci, Sarah Pekanen is going to be speaking. The two of them are going to be in conversation. Have any of you read Sarah Pekanen? I did not know her. I'd heard, of course, of David Baldacci, and I haven't read him, but anyway, she's written 15 best-selling books, so that should be a fascinating program. And I know that people will receive copies of Baldacci's book. I don't think they'll get copies of the other one, but it'll be a great program. So if you haven't signed up and your interest is piqued, you can still do that, right, Kathleen?
Yes, we're almost out of books, so if you sign up, you may have to pick up your book at, oh my gosh, I almost said the library.
Oh, right.
Pick it up at Park Books.
At Park Books, okay.
That's who we're co-sponsoring me.
So the last thing I want to mention is that I had the chance to go over to the Enoch Pratt Central Library on Cathedral Street. They now have changed it. It's no longer a library. It's the House of Mello. It's the house of Carmelo Anthony, who was the great basketball player who's in the Hall of Fame now, grew up in Baltimore. Dee Watkins, the Baltimore writer, had worked with Mello, I guess I'll start calling him that, to help him write his memoir. And that came out just a few years ago. I read it maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And at any rate, apparently Dee Watkins and their CEO, Chad Helton, were hanging around talking about it. And so you go into the library now, and it's just a grand, almost cathedral-like space. They've created a basketball court out of it. They put the lines down. They have a hoop that's probably the size of the floor to ceiling here. They've got videos running. They've got a lot of his gear in another room off to the side. So if you get a chance, I'm just going to pass this around for anybody who wants to look at it. And with that, does anyone have questions? Join. Does anybody on my team? I think 1 or 2 of you have some things to add. Yes, Kathy.
This is in my report, but I brought some visual aids because it's much more fun to look at it in real life. In late spring, I got a message from the school system from Megan Holly, who is in charge of infants and toddlers, and she asked if we would donate some books for these bags that they wanted to give out when they go out into the community and work with their preschoolers and caregivers. And so we still had some money in kindergarten readiness, so the foundation was very generous and we were able to provide books to go into 250 of these bags.
Oh, wow.
And they're really great because they have not only the books in them, but they also have a whole bunch of early literacy hacks, like tools, like flashcards, little finger puppets, little crayons, this one has like a little board you can write on. And we have some in Spanish and some in English and some with both in them. So I thought y'all might want to just look and see what they are.
And do you get the matching scarf to go with the bags?
It does match, you're right. I didn't plan that. So if you feel like looking at them, I think you'll like them.
Cool.
And then Christine?
All right, I'm gonna do a little show and tell myself. So Joey, if I can get you to switch our screens. Okay, so every year.
Just gotta share it.
Thank you. Every year, in lieu of an annual report, we have been issuing a community impact report. How does the library impact our community? And so this was just posted on our website, and I wanted to make a point that you all saw it. It represents some of the new initiatives that we've done in the past fiscal year, as well as some of sort of bumping up of other programs and some of the other wonderful things happening in the library. So it's a completely digital document that we will send out to elected officials as well as our customers and share with our staff so that we all can be aware of all the wonderful things happening at the library. So I'm just going to scroll through it real quickly. We have a large section on all of our capital expansion projects, whether it's discoveries or the refreshes at some of our libraries, the Glen Burnie Library, just short little pieces of information about some of these initiatives. We also talk about, obviously, our bread and butter, kindergarten readiness, summer at your library. We try to use really fun pictures from our branches and around the county. We've done a tremendous amount of increase in outdoor story times. I believe Ann talked about the hikes. This is a little bit of a sampling of what we've done, both with internal partners and out in the community. Our book sanctuary happened last fiscal year, so we definitely wanted to highlight that, as well as some wonderful foundation-funded programs, the Privacy Pod that we have in Crofton and Odenton, as well as Maryland City, the long-term Chromebook lending program that we were able to offer to customers in Brooklyn Park. This is a wonderful example of us responding to needs in the community. We created, our digital experience team created web pages for some of these really important communities that were experiencing a lot of negative impact from some federal changes. So we wanted to be sure that folks knew about our resources. And then our connections in the communities. We've done in our branches, I feel like a lot more team programming, particularly our lock-ins are very popular. So I wanted to highlight those. These are some unique things we do. We have art exchange boxes in a number of libraries, as well as this enslaved people monument in Crofton. If you haven't been by there, definitely check that out. Our health and wellness efforts, the community pantry certainly is growing and continues to grow. We're still giving out COVID test kits. Our health to go machines have expanded. So the next report will be talking about the expansion, which happened just recently. But these are currently in Brooklyn Park, Deal, I believe they're in Annapolis, and Glen Burnie. Odenton and Glen Burnie. So if you haven't checked those out, definitely do that. Just some general stats on our usage over the last fiscal year, which continues to increase. A number of programs. I've been here 10 years and I've been saying, we have 6,000 programs a year. Not anymore. We got even more, and the programming numbers continue to increase as well. And then there are the lovely faces of the folks from the FY25 board. So Abby and Barbie will see your faces next year on this document. It just talks about who you are and your names. And then we move on to the foundation and their lovely members and some of the work that they've been doing in the community through donor funds. So everything from the lifelong learning and all the various things, factors and categories they have for how they help people. So there's some great pictures, ribbon cutting at the reading room that Sally Earle, I believe, was able to make happen. The numbers for all of the wonderful initiatives they were able to fund, just some fun pictures, just trying to make it really engaging and entertaining. a more wonderful picture of you that we want to use everywhere, like that's a picture. So yeah, there's some great pictures from some of our events. I noticed there were a lot of alcohol pictures when we saw the spot. Oh, no, it was out. Lots of opportunity. Ice cream, wine.
Look at those cute kids eating ice cream.
Yes, connection, just hanging out. So I think that's roughly about it, just the impact. So that's it. I just want to be sure everyone saw it, and it is on our website, and I will be sending it out.
What is the art exchange box?
You leave art supplies, like,
Okay.
so if you want to try out, I don't know, painting or.
So it's not leave your own art?
No, but I bet you they may get a few of those as well.
Okay.
There's one of those at Maryland Hall.
Oh, there is, okay.
It's been there for a while.
I think we have it at Crofton, Brooklyn Park, and Lithicum.
Sounds
Partnership with,
Thank you.
That's a
Thank
great
you.
report, thank you.
Very
Really, I
nice.
absolutely encourage everybody to read through the report. I mean, it's absolutely fabulous, all the work that our library is doing, so. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Cedric, did you have anything, or are you gonna wait until we get to the items over 100,000? Do you have anything else to add? Okay.
No.
And Kathleen, I don't think, okay, I think we're good. That's it.
Sounds good. All right, we will move on to our reports from our committees. So I'll turn it over to Tim for finance and audit.
Thank you very much, Demita. We met as a committee last month. We went over the final expenditure report for fiscal year '25, which ended in June. We had spent 99% of our budgeted expenditures for the year. Just a few variances of note, including higher insurance costs, which we're dealing with, a budget for the Discovery's expansion, and then some miscellaneous equipment. We also, I mentioned the budget timeline for fiscal year '27, so we went over that. And then we also voted unanimously in favor of some book purchases in the amount of $700,000 from Baker and Taylor, and that's on our item for consideration later. I have a bit of background I'd like to go over about that purchase, which resulted from us having to switch vendors. There's a bit of a story there that I think is worth highlighting, so we'll go over that when we bring it up for vote. So.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. All right, next is Jim for Governance Strategy and Organization Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate you. Not much to report this time. You'll actually see the fruits of Rudy and Christine's labor in the packet. We had a discussion about the updated computer use policy, which, as I say, is in the packet. We did not have a quorum, so we were unable to include that as part of the consent agenda. And we also reviewed the strategic plan. Christine did a great job of going over that, which is also in the board packet. What is in our minutes but not in the packet is we had a brief discussion about the Malcolm X tribute. And we have all committed to do whatever is necessary in working with whatever aspects of our community to make sure there's understanding about what that is and the importance of it, and how we bring the community on board with us. So thank you, Madam Chair. That's it.
All right, sounds good. Want to go to the report for Human Resources and Diversity Committee, Faith?
Everybody, thank you. So the committee met and we reviewed the two policies which were mentioned previously on the Maryland Values Act and the Contamination Materials Policy. We also went over, COVID reviewed a number of changes that had happened with the personnel updates due to the union, mostly around compensation, leave, and posting of internal jobs, but you can actually read them in detail in the report because there were quite a few. And that's all we have for the Human Resources Committee. Thank you.
All right, great. So we actually do have 3 items for consideration. The first being the strategic plan. Christine, you wanna?
Sure.
Those of us who are actually here in person have our paper
There's
copies.
a paper
so,
copy
yeah.
here, but for those of you at home, it's in board effect. We've been working on the strategic plan since Yeah, it's been almost a year, and I want to thank Jeremy and Jana-Lane
And Faith.
and Faith, I knew it, and Faith for their assistance as part of this process. But we had a large committee of employees who have really contributed to, I think, a dynamic document that's gonna guide our work over the next 2 years. We looked at it as a sort of like an architectural drawing or perhaps even building plans that we're building the library and the community of which we want to have. And so our areas of focus, you can see, are free and open access, supporting belonging and lifelong learning, serving neighborhoods with purpose, and thriving staff and leadership at every level. And the staff item was new. We didn't have that, I believe, a couple of plans ago, certainly, but we felt like it was really important. And certainly the building blocks in the middle column are the more tangible pieces, but the outcomes are what I would argue you spend the most time thinking about. We really want a library that works for everyone. We want a community that can reach its highest potential. We want to create a network of partnerships that are stronger together, and then certainly a supportive workplace that values staff and empowers them. So those are our goals. Our mission is on the back part. We build stronger communities. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be complex. And then we continue our vision from the work that the last plan did, led by Rudy and the regionals, that we want a welcoming and evolving community where all people connect, grow, and belong. So that is it. The staff now are taking this plan and they are figuring out how it fits into the work that they do, what new projects and initiatives they want to do as a result of this plan. And we're trying to be very transparent. We're going to share all of that information with the staff, so everyone knows what the other is doing and look for collaboration. So we're excited about that second phase of the plan. So I want to thank my co-chair Kathy and Skip for their work. That's it.
Thank you.
Questions?
Do we vote on this does the board now vote? Is this the time?
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to at least just see if anybody have any questions or discussion items related to the strategic plan.
I just want to make one comment, which is I love the way this is written, particularly in the building blocks area, where there's so many really good words about that are action-oriented, providing, highlighting, expanding, fostering, engaging, embracing. You know, I think that really sets the tone we want. So I just thought that was really good.
As a writer, I appreciate that.
I really love the layout.
Yes.
I just think it's so accessible that people will actually read it. It's excellently done.
Thank you.
And just as a point of clarity, is there a new strategic plan every year?
No, this will be 26 through 28.
I read that.
We have done, Barbie, just to answer, we've done plans a little bit in different ways. We hired an outside consultant about 8 or 10 years ago, and we had a whole big process that she did, and there was one of the plans that I think was laid out for about 4 years, 3, 4, 5 years. Forgotten exactly how much, but then we did a plan, we extended that plan, and then we did the plan that Rudy and his team did. That one was called a strategy. It wasn't called a strategic plan. It was called This Is Our Strategy, and it has been in place now. Is it 2 years, Rudy? Yeah, so it's a 2-year. We're looking at this one to be a 3-year plan, and
Great.
Yeah. I do want to say, because I've been in some of the meetings, not all of the meetings, but there's a tremendous amount of thought that goes into this. Tim, you were talking about the words in here, and not just the layout, but the words. And just like with the one that Rudy and his team did, there's a lot of thought, discussion, trying to really understand what we're trying to do, trying to think in a forward way. And so it puts us in a really good place, and like somebody said, it's going to be easy to read, and people will read it, and the mission and vision statements are you can kind of, some people have real good recall on those kinds of things. I'm not great at that, but at least it's straightforward, and we all can embrace it.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All right. So, is there a motion to approve, the strategic plan?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right,
Is
it's.
that a yes or a no?
Is that an aye? I oppose?
So it's carried unanimously. Thank you for that.
That was a yes, just to be clear.
I appreciate that. All right, so we can go ahead and move on to Rudy for the internet and computer use policy.
Madam Chair, can we do the motion first, and then I'll give the brief as a discussion part of the motion?
Sure. Motion to approve the internet and computer use policy. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, thank you. Who was that?
That was Noah.
Okay, great. In a second?
I'll second.
All right, Tim seconded. All right.
So in your packets is the updated computer use policy. It replaces a policy that was approved by the board in 2016. It has stood the test of time. We annually, we're required by the state library to audit the computer use policy, look and see if we have any objections or any concerns from the public. And throughout these years, we've had, it's been well accepted by the public. This year, we decided to go in and revisit the policy top to bottom. We cleaned the language up, made it a lot more accessible. We took out some terms that are not really well defined in the law, and we stuck to the words that the statute requires us to. So that's what you see in the new policy. There's no substantial changes from the previous policy. We informed the public, and they used we set up the informed use for the public, that they use the internet at their own risk. That the use of the internet from the library's provisions are for legal and acceptable uses only, and that we employ filtering in order to comply with the Children's Internet Protection Act. And that's the substance of the policy. Like I said, it hasn't changed at all. There will be very little effect for the frontline staff, if any at all, because it's essentially the same policy, reworded and updated for readability.
Yeah, I especially like the clarity around the prohibited activities, and it's very clearly written, and yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for a policy of this nature. And I see a hand, Rob.
Hi, the ALA used to have a subcommittee aimed at user communities for internet services as part of public library programs. I don't even know if that committee's still in place, but are we kind of keeping an eye on what's coming out of the ALA just for our own review?
We do. In fact, when we redid this policy, I also had our AI agent, Copilot, go out and look at all the other internet policies that are published by Maryland libraries. We got a really good summary, and good news, there wasn't anything on there that we needed to incorporate in there. We kept to the themes that all the other libraries have been following along as well.
Thanks, Rudy.
Rob, I'll also add, ALA, first of all, the American Library Association, it's been around since 1876. As the internet developed, there was a lot of concern, and I think it still is there on the part of librarians across the country, about over-blocking by the use of internet filters. They even have a policy basically that says you either don't use filtering or be very careful about filtering. I have some background in this because I actually wrote an article for American Libraries Magazine in 2003, right around the time that the Children's Internet Protection Act was being put into law. My article was called "Filters Work, Get Over It." And we have found that there's not overblocking, there's not underblocking, it may be there, but it's way under the radar. I don't see it affecting the use that our customers make. We do have a provision in this policy that allows people who have found something that's blocked to be able to request that we unblock it. And I don't know, Rudy, maybe you know, have we ever, or maybe somebody on public service knows, have we had people who have asked to unblock sites?
Oh, yeah, we have, it happens.
Does it happen every year or?
It used to happen a lot when filters weren't as good.
Okay.
Now filters are much better, so I don't think it happens nearly as much.
So anyway, I hope that answers your question, Rob, and it's definitely something that in our collection development policy that you all adopted, we do adhere to the American Library Association's Bill of Rights, or it's called the Library Bill of Rights. I believe there's an intellectual freedom policy. There's 2 or 3 policies: freedom to view, freedom to read, and that's all spelled out. So you may want to look back at the collection development policy, which has links to those ALA policies.
I wasn't referring specifically to filtering. I was just saying, are we tracking, and the question's already been answered. Are we tracking what's going on in some of the bigger organizations and other systems similar to ours?
Okay, thanks.
Great. Any other questions or discussion? All right, so we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of approving the policy as stated, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, the policy is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, and our last item then for consideration are approval of purchase and totals exceeding $100,000. So I'm going to make sure I follow the rules here. Is there a motion to approve the policy? All right, Tim, so moved. And is there a second?
Second.
And Jenna Lang seconded it. All right, we can open it up to Cedric or, I guess, did you want to?
I can start up, yeah. So this was, by itself, and I took this off the consent agenda, not because it's a controversial vote, but I thought it was worth having a little bit of discussion about. So essentially, from what I gather, we had a deal with a company called Baker & Taylor to buy books, or one of the larger vendors. Back in October, they went out of business. So that forced us as the library system to change course and work with a vendor called Brodart & Company, and we bought the $700,000 worth of books. This is notable because Baker & Taylor is a company that's been around since 1828. And they just started closing up shop. There was some deal, they were thinking of being acquired by some other entity, it fell through. So that essentially means there's one less big player in this industry. And so it's, and there's a good article in the American Libraries magazine about this. I think Skip may have actually circulated this article that you can read, but it just talks a little bit about sort of the background of why Baker & Taylor closed. But it makes note that the slate of suppliers of library materials has narrowed. There's really down to Brodart, and there's another company called Ingram Library Services. And there's some good background here about the challenges in the industry as we shifted from libraries buying digital materials and the margins on books and so forth. But in essence, this does, I think, create like a challenge for library systems. Less competition means that there could be challenges with pricing. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think we ended up paying more from Brodart than we would have with Baker & Taylor as a result of that. So, just in the context, we're seeing costs rising on a number of fronts, and this is just another thing to keep an eye on. So I don't know if Cedric or Rudy have anything to add on that, but.
No, I just want to add that, this is, again, you guys voted on Baker & Taylor in May. So this is just another company that we're voting on, since we're not going to be using Baker & Taylor, going in the future. And also, I just want to recognize Rudy and his team. I think they did an excellent job in being proactive with this particular situation. It can be hard for us switching vendors and going through this library process, especially with this large of amount of transactions that we do have with Baker and Taylor. So I think they've done a very good job in us transitioning. I know Judy has already, she started months ago setting up accounts and doing that, those things of that nature, which has been really good in helping us going forward with the particular new company that we have now.
So Baker and Taylor had, according to this article, 4,000 institutional customers. So that's a lot of libraries that we buy from them now. They, it's one less option in the industry. So, do we sense that is going to be an issue in terms of less competition when we go buy books and an impact on pricing? Or?
There used to be 3, now there are only 2, Ingram and Baker and Taylor. We're a little worried. But we'll keep a close eye on the market. Thank you, Cedric. Judy did an outstanding job keeping an eye on the market. She read the handwriting on the wall, started the process in July so that when Baker and Taylor went out of business, it was smooth. We just moved right over to Roadhart. It's where the market is right now. We're just keeping an eye on it.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, so.
Oh, I have a quick question. I am sad to say I didn't realize Baker and Taylor had gone out of business. I still have some Baker and Taylor bags that I got at conferences. But what I started using, and this vendor has a different name. I can't remember the name, but I use Libria. I'm short-staffed at the library, so my collection development time is really not what I would like it to be. And I met the representative from Libria last year at the professional day for school districts, October of last year. And that has been really helpful as my salesperson. I tell her what I'm looking for. She has my database. She knows what's approved and not approved, because in the school system, everything has to be evaluated and approved before we can buy it. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the parent company name at this moment. But that has been a real relief to me, because we only have one librarian in each library, and a lot of times we're doing other things as needed. So that might be an issue. I don't know if they're been impacted by Baker and Taylor being gone. And then we also use a company called Taylor and Company, which we work really closely with. She works with a number of vendors for children's nonfiction books. So I'm sorry to hear that Baker and Taylor is gone, but there are perhaps other options, but I am very concerned about the industry. Thank you.
I just have a quick question. My limited knowledge with some of the other programs way back when I was involved had approval programs. I was just curious, do you purchase the books through an approval program or direct through just, purchasing it from a list?
We have a number of ways we do it. We have an evaluation. Okay, so in Montgomery County, even before we lost the lawsuit, we have an evaluation and selection department, and they have certain criterion that we have to follow. And anyone who is certified, we're now licensed, can actually evaluate a book and connect it to the Common Core. I don't think we use that, and connect it to the curriculum. And they fill out a form, the 365-25 form, to go to committee, and the committee reviews the books. If it is a textbook, meaning required reading, it goes on a 30-day shelf as well, because required reading has a slightly higher standard than library books. But since we lost the lawsuit this summer, the scrutiny of anything we use is much higher. So we have a process that we follow, and anyone at any time can challenge any book or video or anything else that we use. And we have a process for that as well. But we also have a database that lets us know what is approved and what is not approved.
Yeah. Anne Arundel County has a process for schools for approval. And some of it is just finding 2 positive reviews from good publications. But we also have committees that meet and actually look at the materials. And there's a textbook committee that meets constantly every month, looking at textbooks. So it's a well-defined and laid out, and everybody knows how it works. So parents start by complaining to the school librarian, then there's teachers that look at it, and then if they're not happy with what the teachers say, then it goes to the superintendent, and, you know. But usually by the time the teachers look at it, parents are willing to accept our evaluation, usually.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question about the approval of the purchase? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so the purchase, the approval purchase is approved. All right, so we just have a few more comments from Skip, unless we have anything else from anyone else from the trustees. All right, Skip.
So 2 things. First of all, the monument to Malcolm X will be moving forward. It's the Martin Luther King Committee that Carl Snowden heads up that has put this proposal to us. And where it stands right now, they're trying to get it installed by his birthday, which is May 19th. There's a company in Canada that is going to create the monument. It's 3 tall granite slabs with quotes and photos on one side, and on the side facing the traffic circle at Bush Annapolis, it would be an African motif kind of design element with a silhouette of Malcolm X on that side. So it's not designed yet, but that's sort of the concept. Shelley Wrench was on the art advisory committee that Cedric was chair of. She is currently the landscape architect for WGM, which has done the schematic design for the Glen Burnie Library. She may continue on that. She was the landscape architect at Bush Annapolis. She gave a proposal to Mr. Snowden. They have signed off on that, and so she's under contract to manage the process now. She also is working with Terry Schumann, who also was part of the Bush Annapolis project. He's a civil engineer, also working on the Glen Burnie project with WGM, at least up until now. Shelley and Terry may continue, but that's to be determined when the architect of record is selected and the contractor. But I mention that because it is moving forward. Mr. Snowden continually says in emails, time is of the essence. He's been slowed down in a number of ways, because we had our process and then getting this thing worked through with Shelley, but it's starting to move ahead. I think we told you before that Cedric and I had a chance to have a phone call with Malcolm X's daughter, Ilyasa Shabazz. We've done several emails. She's very keenly interested in the project. Cedric had found several quotes, about 7 or 8 quotes, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I love them all. Can we put them all up?" And so it's a pretty incredible project that's going to be moving forward, and it'll happen quickly. The part that Shelley has to do, one of the parts, is to work to develop how they're going to create the base, the concrete base, and they have to kind of watch out for where electrical line conduit is, and all of that type of thing. So anyway, just wanted to give you that update. Does anybody have any questions about this project? Yes.
Well, it's just something that occurred to me when I heard somebody saying something negative about Malcolm X, because there are people who only remember his initial phase of violent resistance and all of that. Do you think we're going to run into objections at some point?
Probably.
Yeah, we can't do anything without people objecting.
No, we probably will, but truly, it's an opportunity for a lot of people to sort of become enlightened, to become educated, to learn more. I mean, I think Cedric and I both, we both have been reading, listening to audiobooks, learning a lot more. And yes, he was, let's just say, kind of nasty at the beginning.
Which is an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, he was part of the Nation of Islam at a time when they were also very anti-white people. They basically wanted separation. They were a little bit removed from this, not removed, they were a little bit sort of growing out of the Marcus Garvey movement of the 1920s and 30s and all. But he really did have tremendous changes in his life. So in many ways, as people learn about him, they'll understand that that there is people can change and grow and develop and become great individuals through this.
People are more than their worst moment.
Absolutely.
There you go. Yeah.
I love that.
So I have one other.
Yes. So, what is I'm just curious, like, what is our process, to the extent that we have one, of evaluating these types of proposals? You know, an outside group comes and said, we'd like you to build something. Okay. How do we go about saying no if it's something that we don't feel is not aligned with our values, or, what's the...
So we actually did that. The process is that we use the public art policy. Public art policy has a process laid out that the board has approved, by which the CEO appoints the art advisory committee. And there are different positions. So we try to find an artist, we try to find a trustee and a foundation person, or someone from the philanthropic world. So Tessie Ballard from the foundation board and Noah Comment from our board were part of the committee. Essentially, they review it to determine aesthetics, to determine a variety of things, appropriateness. There's an opportunity right in that committee to say, this really does not fit what we want. They then make a recommendation to a technical consideration committee, which is one that Rudy headed up, and by the policy, his positions is the one that leads that. So he engaged with people on our staff, so Mark Freeman, people from DPW, who are they?
Risk management.
And risk management, yes. And so I think our DPW person couldn't participate, but the risk management person did. They're looking at the technical elements of it, like are there going to be long-term maintenance needs, for example, and what might be the cost of that, or so anyway, that's the whole process, and it's worth a look at that policy to kind of really understand how it works. Now, it doesn't require that the final approval come back to the board. It authorizes that committee to make the decision. So, you or the board might want to take another look at that. If you want to have that final approval, you can certainly revise the policy to make that. But I chose to bring it to the board and talk with the board about it pretty early on, because I wanted to make sure you were aware, just for the reason that it very well might be controversial. And Noah had brought that up previously too. He not only was it anti-white, it was he made anti-Semitic statements as well. So there was a lot of vitriol in the first part. Yes.
All right, so we have concluded the agenda. Are there any parting thoughts, questions, concerns? All right, so the meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yes,
Great,
happy
thank you,
holidays.
girls. Have a great holiday season.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.